So in my last video, we talked about why rest is important and why it's necessary. And one of the things that we learned is that rest has to be intentional. Like Jesus got to a point where he intentionally pulled away from the crowds and was like, no, this is too much. I need to go and get some rest. Then again, we see him tell the disciples, this is too much. We can't even eat. So let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. So what am I trying to say? That even for you, rest has to be intentional. As you make the plans for your day, for your week, for your year, you need to set some time apart. You need to purposefully plan to rest, to relax, because rest has to be intentional like that. Then the other thing that we learn from that is that you cannot rest in the same situation, in the same place, with the same people who are draining you, the same people who are taking away from you. You need to rest in a different environment. That's why Jesus says, he doesn't just say, okay, let's rest, and they stand there or they sit down wherever they were. No, they pull away from the crowds. They say, let's go off. Let's go somewhere else. And it doesn't have to be a physical destination. It doesn't need to be a physical environment, but you need to get away from the mental environment that is draining you. And I know some of you are like, but they're my kids. And I understand those are people that maybe you cannot get away from, but those that you actually can, you need to get away from them. Then the other thing that we learn from it is that Jesus says, let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place. And by a quiet place, it just means somewhere that is calm, free from noise, free from so much activity. In short, somewhere where your peace is at. So if your peace is in playing an instrument, if your peace is in playing football, if your peace is in taking part in sports, then that is exactly what you should do to rest, because that's where your quiet place is at. So yes, rest has to be intentional. You need to intentionally pull away from certain people in certain environments. And the last thing you need to do is find a quiet place. Rest has a destination, if I'm to say that like that. If you haven't taken anything from what I've been saying for the last 2 minutes, this is important. You can take this. It emanates from something God told me as we flipped the year into 2021. The main instruction, actually the only instruction he gave me, was do what you're supposed to. You see, by doing what you're supposed to, it means there's some things God has called you to do. There's some particular tasks that you're supposed to handle. And God is saying these things, they're going to need your devotion, they're going to need your hard work, and you're supposed to do them. So yes, this is where you exert your energy. But the phrase, do what you're supposed to, also means that there's some things that you're not supposed to be doing. There's some things that you are doing that God is like, why are you doing all that? Do what you're supposed to. So yes, there's some things you need to do, and there's some things you also need not to do. You see, sometimes maybe your schedule is comprised of 10 things, and God is like, I just need you to do 3. There's just 3 things I want you to do. Because you see, God cannot give you what you can't handle. Therefore, whatever, as I said in my last video, whatever God is calling you into cannot drain you. It cannot burn you out. Even those people God is calling you to influence, to take care of, they cannot burn you out as long as you do whatever it is that you're supposed to. And that is exactly what the pace of grace means. God is like, you do less, I'll do more, but follow my instructions. And as you allow God to direct your steps, because the Bible says we make our plans, but God directs our steps. So if you allow him to direct your actions, to direct your steps, trust me, he'll get you exactly where you need to be, when you need to be there. But for that to happen, you need to do what you're supposed to. No more, no less. And that's just my encouragement and advice to you today. Do what you're supposed to. Cheers.